What's up, world? This is Stocks in the Streets, where we focus on pure investing without the baking soda, boric acid, or all the other crap that analysts try to throw your way. Simply put, we give it to you straightforward, no cut, investing made simple. So, today, I want to spend some time talking about the choices I've made in the stock market, how I've been able to get the returns that I've gotten so far, and my selections and stock picks. Again, I am in no way, shape, form, or fashion trying to say that I'm some all-knowing expert or some detailed analyst. I just looked at the facts from a consumer standpoint, and that's pretty much what leads me in the direction that I go. Now, do I get it right all the time? Absolutely not. But I do get it right often enough to make a positive difference. So my current account, you can see that I am actually, for the day, I'm down $172, $168 or something and counting. It's Monday, November 27th. One thing that's huge for me is to keep in mind that I do not focus on the hour to hour, minute to minute, or day to day trading. I'm more or less a long-term trader. What I consider short-term, for me at least, is investments that are at least for a period of a month, sometimes a couple of weeks. It depends. But generally speaking, I have never been and will never be a day trader. Doesn't mean I've got anything against day trader. That's just not my MO. So anyways, I want to talk a little bit about Roku. Now, I'm sure that you'll find 1,000,001 people right now talking about Roku, saying you should get in or shouldn't get out or whatever it is. I've been bullish about Roku even before their IPO. As their IPO was approaching, I thought to myself that Roku was going to be a good approach. And if you give me a few moments, I'll explain to you why I thought Roku was going to be it will be relatively easy for someone to look at Roku and say, hey, over the last week, day or week, it's been up for about 12% or so. Or over the last month, it's been up like 135%. Maybe I should get into that stock. Last 3 months, roughly about 176%. But that actually has nothing to do with my selection of Roku. One thing you will notice as of right now, I'm only holding 15 shares of Roku, and I brought back in at $40.54 on average. So today I've made about $60, but before that I was down a bit. So you can see my total return since I brought back in the Roku now through the Robinhood app. There's a lot of cool stats and things like that. Don't get me wrong, all this stuff is great to know. You want to make sure there's a decent amount of volume and all those other points, but that's really not the main basis of my decisions. So if we were to look back to when I first got into Roku, it was on October 5th. On October 5th, I filled for 15 shares for $21.64. You'll notice more often than not, I would do a limit buy. We'll talk about that in a different video. Then I got in for 4 shares, canceled an order, but then I ended up picking up 40 shares around $24.81. And keep in mind, this is all back in October. Keep in mind, Roku IPO'd on, I want to say September 28th, September 29th, something like that. But I've watched Roku, and I've had a feeling that Roku was going to do well for the long haul. Again, here you can see where I sold off some shares of Roku, and then you can see up here where I brought back in 10 shares and then 5 shares. So what I did was get in at $40.87. I picked up only 10 shares. Roku actually went down after that, so for me that was an indicator to buy more. So I got in and I purchased 5 more shares at $39.87. So going back to why I chose Roku, one of the things I did was look at Roku from a consumer standpoint. I look at where the world is headed, where it's trending in terms of cable services. One of the things I realized is that people are not sitting in front of their TV nearly as much as they're sitting in front of their mobile devices, iPhone, iPad, tablets, whatever you got going on. So I look at those, and personally, I think that cable will continue to die slowly and surely. It's just a thing of the past, and streaming is absolutely where it's at right now. So as I focus on the streaming industry, I try to look at the different platforms that are available. One of the things that I really liked about Roku is that they are not as much into selling their hardware as they're into pushing and promoting their platform. I want to say about a week and a half or so, Roku, they signed a deal with Philips. They've got a deal with about 7 other large TV manufacturers. Many of those are across seas. Keep that in mind. But Roku is the platform that's installed in many of those smart TVs. You know, I like that their platform is neutral. So with Roku, you can have your Netflix, your Hulu, your Amazon Prime. There's probably some Google service or something that's offered. I don't know. But to me, that's one of the things that gives Roku an advantage, because no matter what other program you subscribe through, you can use the Roku to stream that stuff. And of course, Roku has its own series of things that you can stream, whether it be TV, movies, or anything like that. Now, to be completely honest, I don't even own a Roku. I want one. I waited until Black Friday. I didn't find an amazing deal, but I do want to get one so I can compare its speed to, for example, the Fire Stick, which is what I currently use at home. We've got a couple of them, actually. Cable. Again, I haven't had cable in over a decade now. It's just not my thing. So these are some of the reasons, just some of them, that I've had my eye on Roku. Now, when Roku was going down after I initially made my purchase, if I was the person who was way into day trading and concerned about what was going on day to day with that company, it's a good chance I would have got out and sold everything. So remember, I got in somewhere around $23-ish, somewhere around here, right? After that, it had a couple of good runs, but then it went right back down. And I had to think, where am I comfortable? Where's my risk tolerance? So even when Roku was down to $18.84, it didn't bother me, because in my mind, when I purchased Roku, I already had a predetermined point where I was going to get out. I told myself, if Roku goes down to less than $15 per share, I'm getting out. That's it. No questions asked. I tell myself these things in advance so I can use them as parameters going forward. In addition, I also told myself, if Roku doubles or even comes close to it, at least based on where I got in or where I purchased, I said if or when that happens, I'm taking my money and I'm getting out. That doesn't mean I wasn't going to get back in, but when we got to that point, the reason why you see me sell off is because it was close enough to that point where I realized I want to take my gains. And oh yeah, we need to talk about capital gains. That'll be a separate video. But I went ahead and took my money and I got out. You know, one of the things that happens sometimes is that a stock will start to climb, and then it'll have that artificial inflation where people see it and all of a sudden everybody wants to get on board. Kind of like with the Golden State Warriors. Think about how many jerseys and how many people maybe on your Facebook page who claim they're hardcore fans, but you've never heard them talk about Golden State Warriors before the last 5 years. Anyways, off my soapbox. So I waited a while. It hovered. The share of Roku, it hovered for a while, so I went on ahead and jumped back in. Now, another thing you will notice is that I did not jump in nearly as heavy as I did last time. That's absolutely by design. Right now, my equity value is only $659. Again, it happens to be doing well at the moment over a 3-month period. You can see that it's up 178.45%. So again, overall, not bad, but that's where a lot of my gains come from. Some of this other stuff, especially anytime you see me with a single share like this Chesapeake Energy and Siri, this is stuff that I've gotten from referring people or people utilizing the link, and I get a free share also because I still have yet to hit the $500 mark on Robinhood. Oddly enough, you can see that about 10 minutes ago, they were saying Square was down 6.79%. So let's take a glance. Square right now, let's see. Overall, I think it's still got a great growth potential. That's why I currently hold 50 shares of Square. This current portfolio is only a $6,000 portfolio, but You can see here that I've relevant to the size of my entire portfolio here, I've lost a decent amount with Square. So keep in mind that those percent differences, as you invest more, it does make a difference. Again, I've only got 50 shares of Square, but that still puts me up to being down $225 and some change, which is, again, another one of those reasons why I try not to get too obsessed with looking at these numbers from a day-to-day rate. I'll just have to look forward, see how it's going to finish today, and more importantly, see how it's going to finish out the rest of this year. I mean, today is Cyber Monday. I imagine a lot of small businesses are going to be swiping a lot. And, you know, I utilize Square. I think overall it's a great company. I think they've got great earning potential. I personally will be sticking with it. So if you look over the period of a week or so, you know, Square was down. You look over a period of a month, you see it was up substantially, around 27%. 3-month period, it's been up about 76%. So over the last year, it's up about 250%. Now, does this mean that you should go out and buy Square? Absolutely not. Does that mean that you should avoid buying Square? Absolutely not. You know, I think what's really important is that you find companies that you understand, that you believe in, start researching, looking at the numbers, because all of this stuff is extremely important without a doubt. But for some of us, like me, I don't have time to sit here and crunch numbers day in and day out and compare the PE values and total volume. And, you know, I don't have time to look at candlesticks and look for head and shoulders. So that's where, you know, diversifying slightly does come in. But keep in mind, that's why I'm still a firm believer of keeping a majority of my invested funds in an index fund. So Square's been down. I'm okay with that. It doesn't bother me. It happens. I'm more or less concerned about what happens over the course of a prolonged period of time. So, hey, do me a favor, subscribe below, stay tuned. If you don't already have the Robinhood app, there's a link in the description below. And again, I just want to show you what I really have going on. You know, I don't want to make it to the point where I'm some millionaire and claim, hey, this is what I did, or I don't want to have all these claims of I've earned X amount and not be able to document that. So like I said, subscribe and I'll continue to make similar videos so you can keep up and you can see my mistakes. You can see when I get it right.